We're going live now. Okay, Judge, we're live.
Very good. Ms. Saldana?
Hi, Judge. How are you?
Hi. Okay. Would you please raise your right hand? Put your hand, there you go. Do you solemnly swear that in this proceeding, the information and responses you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Ms. Saldana, you were originally charged with driving while intoxicated. It's my understanding that you intend to enter some kind of a plea. Before we do that, I want you to know about or remind you about several particular rights and protections that you have under the Constitution. First of all, you have the right to remain silent. That means you do not have to make any kind of statement. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to submit paperwork to the court, especially papers that have your signature and admit or confess to wrongdoing. You understand you have the right to remain silent.
Yes, I do.
You have the right to a jury trial. That means you and your attorney and the state's attorneys would select 6 people from a random group of what they call a jury panel. And those 6 people would hear all the evidence, the testimony, see that whatever things that there would be presented, and then they would decide whether you're guilty or not guilty if you wanted a jury trial. Do you understand you have the right to a jury trial?
Yes, I understand.
You have the right to confront witnesses or face your accusers. You and your attorney could cross-examine, question, or challenge any witness who would testify in your trial. That is a right to face your accusers or to confront witnesses. You understand you have that right?
Yes, I understand.
You have the right to have this, what's called a right of appeal. That right you can do, or your attorney can do by themselves, or the two of you together. You could demand that a higher court review the official record in this case and the evidence and make whatever challenge you wanted to make. That's essentially the right of appeal. It has to be done with the right papers and with keeping an eye to time limits that are involved. Do you understand you have the right to appeal?
Yes, I understand.
And then finally, you have the right to demand that this proceeding be held in an open public courtroom. Now, that right you have and the state has. So the two of you have a right to a public hearing in the open public courtroom. This is being done right now because of the COVID emergency. It's being done on video conference by computer. And you still could demand that it be done in the courtroom. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, now this is being streamed on YouTube, so it is public. People can tune in and see and hear, but it is not as is required or that you can demand, as I said. Now, if you enter a plea, you give up those rights that I just mentioned, all of them. Do you understand that clearly?
Yes, I understand.
All right. Now, I'm going to show you some papers and ask you some questions. In those documents, these rights that we've been talking about are going to be repeated, some of them 2 or 3 times. And those papers will be part of the record of this proceeding.
Okay.
The first thing I will show you is there's a document that's called the state's consent to video conference. Now, I'll point out to you that at the top of these documents, sir, can you make those a little bit bigger? The document.
Is it fine like that, Judge? Can you see it?
Yeah, but you need to make it bigger. Expand the document itself.
You like that, Judge, or you want me to make it like bigger so you can read the text?
You can see it bigger, the text, yes.
Okay, hold on one second. Can you see right there, Judge?
Not really, but that's okay. I'll just proceed.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me.
There
Can
you
you see
go.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's nice and big, and that's what I wanted. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, Judge.
Ms. Saldana, at the top of the different documents, they're all going to have what I call identifying information. They'll be all repeated. This says case number 656925, the state of Texas versus Cristina Marie Saldana in County Court at Law Number 5, Bexar County, Texas. That will be the same information on each of the different documents. Then you have the title of the document. This one says State's Consent to Video Conference. I mentioned a while ago that you and the state have the right to demand an open public courtroom. This one is the state's consent. They are agreeing to do the video conference, and you notice it is signed by Ms. Morgan, Caitlin C. Morgan, that on behalf of the state. Did you see and understand this document?
Yes, I do.
Okay. The next document is called a discovery acknowledgement. You notice it's got the same information at the top, the identifying information. Then it has the title discovery acknowledgement. Those titles are in bold print, all capitals. This one says that it talks about Article 39.14 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. That is a law that requires that in these kind of proceedings or a trial, the state has to make available to you or give you access to all of the evidence, all of the relevant materials, whether they're receipts, books, videos, whatever. That's what they have to do. And this document is signed by the state and by your attorney. They're both saying, yes, this law has been obeyed. Do you see and understand that?
Yes, I do.
The next document is yours. It's where you say that you agree to the video conference. Again, it starts off with what? The identifying information. And then it talks about the fact that you agree to do this by video conference instead of in the open public courtroom. Is that correct? That you saw
Yes.
that and understood it and you signed it, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, the document shown to you now, again, with the identifying information, this one says the title is Defendants Waiver of Constitutional Rights in Court's Admonitions. Big words, but what they're saying is what it says there in black and white. Mr. Beck, did you and your client review these documents carefully?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Ms. Saldana, this starts off with 3 sentences. The bottom line is it says that you understand you're charged with driving while intoxicated. Is that, you understand that?
Yes.
Then it says that you hereby, right here, enter a plea of nolo contendere, no contest, to the charge of obstruction of a highway due to intoxication. Did you see and understand that what you're
Yes.
saying there? Now, the rest of this document is divided into 15 numbered parts or paragraphs. Number 1 is what's called the range of punishment for what you're charged with. This is what you can be punished for. The obstruction of a highway is a Class B misdemeanor. And in the range of punishment, you see that there's a stack of vertical stack of boxes. Next to each box is a separate type of level or punishment. This one has a check mark on Class B. And what does that say, ma'am? What is the punishment that you can get?
$0 to $2,000 fine and 0 days to 180 days in jail.
That's right. That was the number 1 section out of the 15. Number 2, what does number 2 say?
I understand I have a right to a jury trial, a right to cross-examination of witnesses, and a right to remain silent. I freely and voluntarily give up those rights.
And is that true? Are you doing that?
Yes.
All right. Have you ever been given or taken medication for mental health problems?
No.
All right. Have you ever been in any way involved with the sex offender registration program?
No.
All right. In these 15 divisions, one of them will tell you that the deal you're making, the agreement you've made with the state, it does not bind me as the judge. I have the authority and responsibility as the judge to decide whether I accept your agreement or I can reject it. Now, if I reject your agreement, or if I give you a punishment that is in the proper range but heavier than what you agreed to, in that case, the law would allow you to start all over, okay? And nothing
Okay.
you've said or signed up till now would be used against you. Now, where were you born, ma'am?
San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, these documents, in this case, information will reflect that you are a U.S. citizen. Now, all of this paperwork, these specific 15 parts, did you read them carefully with your attorney?
Yes.
Did you understand them?
Yes.
Okay, and these papers show that you signed that. Defendant's signature and has your signature. Is that correct?
Correct.
Any questions about these at all?
No, sir.
All right. Now this document, this next document, it has the same identifying information, but this is my certification to you. It is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. There is a vertical stack of little boxes, and each one says something different about the right of appeal and how it applies to you. The fifth box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is my certification to you, and I will mark it. It says this is a plea bargain case and the defendant has no right of appeal. Did you understand that that's what my certification to you is?
Yes, I understand.
And you reviewed it with your attorney and you have signed it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. This document now, the next document, again, with the same identifying information, it has what is the title of the document is Application for Deferred Adjudication. There's several things that are critically important that I want you to know about this, and it'll be part of the record. First of all, a plea of nolo contendere in this court is taken as a guilty plea. And a plea of nolo contendere is sufficient by itself to convict you of what you're charged with, okay?
Mhm.
Now, in this particular instance, there is an agreement that I will talk about shortly. But a deferred adjudication, instead of finding you guilty, I will make a recitation that says, I am not finding you guilty because I'm deferring, postponing that decision. And if you live up to 100%, and listen carefully, if you live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then the case gets closed, and under Texas law, you're not even convicted of the obstruction charge. So Mr. Beck already got the case reduced from DWI to obstruction, and now you won't even be convicted of that if you do every bit of the conditions. Is that clear?
Yes.
In addition, the conditions will be read to you and you will sign them, and the copy of them will be put in your hands. So you'll know exactly what you got to do and very much exactly what you cannot do. Is that clear to you, ma'am?
Yes, I understand.
Very good. If you fail to live up to the conditions, or if you refuse to, then the state will ask me to give you official notice, bring you in here for a hearing. And if the evidence is sufficient and supportive, then I can convict you and you will have a conviction for the rest of your life. Is that clear?
Yes.
If that happens, then you're looking at 100% of the punishment for Class B. Anywhere from a fine from $0 to $2,000 and jail anywhere from 0 days to 180 days. Understood?
Yes.
All right. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of more papers. This one is the personnel data sheet. It does not have the identifying information. It's simply because the whole thing is to identify you. It's got your name, address, everything.
Mhm.
The personal data sheet, Oscar. You were on it. No, you lost it. There you are, right there. Okay. Now, you're not working, ma'am?
No,
When's the last time you had a job?
it's been about a year.
What did you do when you worked?
My kids were home from school, so I
Okay.
was there teaching them throughout the day, and I went to school as well. I'm still
Okay.
in school.
What are you studying? What are you doing?
Cybersecurity.
All right. Okay. Scroll it, please. All right. Now, you have not served in the military, or you did serve?
No,
Okay. And you are single. You have 2 children. Are you
Correct.
getting child support for them?
from one of them.
And the other one?
No,
Why?
he doesn't pay.
All right.
We are in the middle of trying to get a court date set up.
All right. I was gonna order you to get with the Attorney General's office and make him pay.
Yeah.
Every
Okay.
dollar that he doesn't pay you, he's stealing from your children. And if you don't push him, you're allowing him to steal from your children. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Now, vehicle, scroll, please. You have a 2010 Murano gray.
Yes.
All right. So now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go to a document called Plea Agreement.
Mhm.
Ms. Oscar will have to reload it a moment, so we'll have to wait just a moment.
Okay.
Can you see it on the screen, Judge, the plea agreement?
No, it's right now, you're still on the personal
Okay.
data sheet.
Okay, let me
But,
reload it.
Right.
Okay, how about now, Judge?
There you go. Very good.
Okay.
Ms. Aldana, what you see now is called a plea agreement. It's at the top of
Yes.
the page. Then it has identifying information and it has your name and the case number. Now, the first 2 boxes officially will be marked. The first one, guess what it talks about? The right to remain silent, and that you're fully aware that you're given that right up. Second box, it will be marked because you are in fact a U.S. citizen. Then we go down to what's called Defendants Acknowledgements. There's 5 boxes that are stacked vertically. Each one talks about your rights and protections. Did you review this with your attorney?
Yes.
You understand what the check mark on there for each one means, right?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Beck, you did review that portion with her?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Scroll, please. Now, the state has a motion. Ms. Morgan,
Yes, Your Honor, the state moves to waive and abandon count 1 and proceed on count 2 of an obstruction.
No
Oh,
objection,
Defense?
Judge.
Defense, any objections?
No objection, Judge.
All right. Then Ms. Morgan, this is not necessarily an amendment, is it?
Actually, I do have to make the motion to amend. I apologize, Your Honor. The state does move to amend the information to add it count 2 of an obstruction.
Okay. And defense, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. There being no objection, then the court grants that motion. The last box in that section of the papers will be marked. Now, officially to the charge of obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway, how do you plead, ma'am? Says they're right in front of you.
No contest.
All right. A no contest plea, again, I remind you, is taken as a guilty plea here in this court. Now, based on that plea and the evidence, I find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I do not. Because I'll be honoring the agreement that's been made, and I'll proceed a little bit further. Now, Ms. Saldana, I am ordering you to come to the courthouse to the offices of County Court of Law number 5 within 7 days You'll come in and you will have your thumbprint placed on the different documents as required by law. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Since I did not find you guilty, I'm granting you a deferred adjudication of 12 months. You will not apply for the early termination of the community supervision. You are fined $500, of which $250 will be probated. You will perform 24 hours of community service restitution. You will participate in, you register, participate in, and complete a DWI education program, a TAP evaluation, and follow the recommendations. And for 6 months, you'll have the ignition interlock attached to your vehicle. During those 6 months, you're not to drive any other vehicle other than your own that has the ignition interlock. Is that understood?
Yes, I understand.
During the entire deferred adjudication, you are not to drink any alcohol at all. The supervising fee will be the minimum, which is $25 a month.
Okay.
Thank you.
How are you being supported right now?
Unemployment?
Okay. All right. Ms. Saldana, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Beck, any questions?
No, Judge, no questions.
Ms. Morgan?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right. Then Ms. Saldana, you're
Yes.
going to go into breakout and meet with Maricela Luna. She is the lady that's going to set you up with the probation. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, since you're on unemployment, you have 2 children. I'm going to make one adjustment to the papers. Mr. Alonso, and let's see who's here for the clerk. Nobody.
No, I don't have a clerk, Judge.
Mr. Alonso, make sure that on the $500 fine, it says that we're going to probate 250. I want to make that the full 500.
Okay, Judge. I'll
Uh,
make sure it gets changed.
Ms. Saldana, if you live up to all the conditions, do what you're supposed to,
Mhm.
then you won't have to pay any of that fine. But you
Okay.
got to live up to all of that. You hear?
Yes, I understand. Thank you, Your Honor.
I need to share this with you, ma'am. The worst thing that could happen to you as a human being and as a mother, for you to be drinking and driving and you have an accident and kill your kids. You think that can happen? It happens, ma'am. I think you see it all the time in TV and the newspaper. Mothers go out there and have an accident and kill their kids. It can happen. So you need to be really, really careful. How old are your children?
8 and 12.
All right. You need to be keeping that in mind. The other part of it is if you go out there and kill yourself, you leave your kids without a mother, and you've got 2 men in your life that aren't really caring about the children. So what happens to them? All right.
Yes.
I want you to think about that. And I
I
hope
will.
that you never come back in here again with any kind of problem like this. You take care of yourself and your kids, and you